This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
And now at 6, a mask mandate for the entire state goes into effect Monday due to a spike in COVID-19 cases. Everything you need to know about this new rule.
So that's now our policy. Basically, we will not apply for no-knock warrants, and we won't be doing those.
A change in IMPD policy today, why the chief says it was needed, and the message he hopes it sends.
We are learning more about what Indianapolis 500 race day is going to look like at IMS, and you need to prepare for some major changes.
Families and lawmakers are concerned about an Indiana nursing home owned and operated by state government. I'm Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny with what they say needs to change.
Good evening and welcome in here at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins broadcasting from my home tonight.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino at the WRTV studios. We are continuing to practice social distancing during this pandemic. And first tonight, Governor Eric Holcomb announces a mask mandate for the entire state of Indiana. Starting Monday, wearing a mask will no longer be a suggestion. It will be mandatory for everyone. We begin with RTV6's Cameron Riddle, who is live with a closer look at this new rule and what it means for you. Cameron.
Mark, Amanda, good evening. That new statewide mask-up mandate goes into effect on Monday and comes as the coronavirus positivity rate in Indiana is only climbing and as schools get ready to physically reopen their doors for the first time next week. The new mask-up mandate applies to everyone over the age of 8 years old while inside any public place, including stores and restaurants, as well as while on public transportation or while outside in a setting where social distancing is not possible. Masks will also be required to be worn in schools by students grades 3 and up. It is also required for all teachers, staff, and students. Masks will also be required during any extracurricular activities, including sports, except during any strenuous activity. As we've seen with local mandates for masks in places like Marion and Monroe County, people with medical conditions can be exempt from the mask-up mandate. Of course, masks are not required while you are eating or drinking. After living through a pandemic for 5 months now, Governor Holcomb says wearing a mask may be the very thing that helps us not have to repeat the past several months of stay-at-home orders and shutdowns.
We're eating in restaurants and we're working in all kinds of facilities, both large and small. And we want to keep it that way. We want businesses to stay open. We want more Hoosiers to continue this trend of going back safely to work. We don't want to dial it back or put it in reverse, or as some are, shutting down again.
The governor says the main factors in requiring face masks now is due to the roughly 4% increase in Indiana COVID positivity rates, as well as hospitalizations seeing an increase of roughly 200 new patients a day. Now, just like the stay-at-home orders, local governments can implement stricter rules for their mask-up mandate. That power is also extended to local school districts. So while the state law and policy will say that students in grades 3 and up have to wear a mask, the school district can decide to have all students K through 12 wear a mask if that's what the school leaders decide to do. Again, that mask-up mandate goes into effect for the entire state of Indiana on Monday. Live downtown in Indianapolis, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Cameron clarifying some things for us tonight. Thank you. It is a humid evening outside, but that didn't stop people on the trail along the White River from enjoying the day. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joining us now. Kevin, do we still have storm chances this evening?
We've got some isolated storms around. I'll find those for you in 1 second. 85 with that dew point at 72. When the dew point reaches 65, that's when you say it's humid. So very humid is the way I would describe it now. From Rockville to around Carmel, then Anderson, there's your broken line of showers and thunderstorms in Madison County. Nice little downpour. It will clip the north side of Anderson and move between Alexandria and Anderson off to the east toward Muncie. Noblesville, Morse Reservoir with a shower now, and what sits just north of Zionsville will cross toward Carmel, eventually Fishers, and a downpour around Liston that may catch Pittsboro as well as it continues to move between Brownsburg and Lebanon. For the evening hours, maybe a strong storm with some gusty winds, but the threat for severe weather has moved south, closer to the Ohio River. We'll talk about some changes coming up.
A huge policy change for the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. It will no longer perform no-knock warrants. A no-knock warrant, by the way, allows officers to enter a home without first knocking and announcing their presence. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum spoke with IMPD Chief Randall Taylor to find out why this change was made and how it might impact the city.
It's a practice that's been described as dangerous for both community members and the officers involved. And it's a practice IMPD will no longer be using.
I think it's the right thing to do. I think the community will appreciate it. I know the officers will appreciate it, so it's really a win-win.
Chief Taylor says no-knock warrants often lead to violence. It's something we've seen across the country and something that's gained a lot of attention lately after police in Louisville shot and killed Breonna Taylor in her home. That happening during a no-knock warrant.
We've seen in different cases, different parts of the country, that hasn't always worked out best. You're coming in unannounced, people don't know who you are, so tendency for violence could be greater.
Department leaders say they do not have statistics on how often they asked judges to grant no-knock warrants, but they say the frequency has decreased over the past few years.
Officers are good enough now that they can find other ways to do those warrants. You know, maybe it'll be you'll talk to the suspect while they're not at the house or an establishment or something like that. So there's these different options that won't put them in jeopardy and won't put the community in jeopardy.
This order now officially ending it. The Indiana Senate and House Democrats have been calling for statewide police reform. That included the ban of these warrants. Senator Greg Taylor says he hopes other departments will now follow IMPD's lead, and he hopes this is the start of additional changes.
I might call it many step, but sometimes you got to take many steps before you get to the big step, which is going to include a lot of other things in police reform.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And we requested information from the courts on how often no-knock warrants are served in Marion County, but have not yet heard back.
Call 6 Investigates has learned a special prosecutor and a change of venue are being requested in the case of an alleged racial incident at Lake Monroe in Bloomington earlier this month. Sean Purdy and Jerry Cox both face multiple charges in connection with the incident involving Vox Booker on July 4th. Sources tell Call 6 Investigates that Purdy's lawyer plans to request both a change of venue and a special prosecutor for the case. Sean Purdy is accused of restraining Vox Booker during the July 4th encounter, which was recorded on video. Booker called the incident a near lynching. Purdy has denied that allegation, even though a report from the Department of Natural Resources also recommended that Booker be charged with a crime. The Monroe County prosecutor decided not to charge him.
We are 1 month and 1 day away from the rescheduled running of the Indianapolis 500. The race was postponed because of the pandemic. It is now set for Sunday, August 23rd. But this year's race won't quite look like this. That's because COVID-19 is causing Indianapolis Motor Speedway to make some major changes. And tonight we are getting a clearer picture of what those changes are. First, IMS announced it will air the Indianapolis 500 live on TV in central Indiana due to the unique circumstances fans are dealing with. Yesterday, we reported that attendance at the Indianapolis 500 will be capped at 25% of normal capacity. And today, IMS also confirmed that masks will be mandated through the entire venue. That's both indoors and outdoors. On top of that, everyone will be screened with a contactless thermometer, and people with a temperature in excess of 100.4 degrees will be prohibited from entering the speedway. Seats will be reassigned to provide for greater social distancing. All drinking fountains and misting stations will be removed. Options from concession stands will be limited to mostly prepackaged foods. Many activities will be eliminated, including all concerts and the VIP red carpet. We spoke to the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Doug Bowles, about what you can do if you don't feel comfortable going to this year's race.
Well, the most important thing in this, and this really started at the state level, that hashtag "we're in this together," we truly mean that as well, that we're in this together. So if customers aren't comfortable coming, if something changes and they don't want to come and they've already told us they are, we just ask that they let the ticket office know and we'll give them a credit for next year. So we're not, and we're really wanting people to make the decision that's best for them. We're going to do everything we can here to make them feel like we've done things the right way here, but if for whatever reason they're uncomfortable, we're removing all roadblocks. So if you need to take this year off, you'll get a credit for next year.
Again, the Indianapolis 500 is scheduled for August 23rd. Every fan will have to wear a mask, and your last day to get tickets to the greatest spectacle in racing is this Friday.
They served our country honorably. Now some are concerned about the health and safety of people at the Indiana Veterans Home, a nursing home located in West Lafayette. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny spoke with a woman who just lost her father at the facility, as well as a state lawmaker who both say the facility needs to do more COVID-19 testing.
Many nursing homes are privately owned, but the Indiana Veterans Home in West Lafayette is owned by the state of Indiana government, which some say makes their quality ratings even more concerning.
David Scrimshire served in the Navy and Air Force Reserve. After a series of strokes, he became a resident at the Indiana Veterans Home in West Lafayette, a long-term care facility with more than 160 residents. IVH is the best choice for Hoosier veterans and their spouses, according to their website. But David's daughter, Danielle Sabatini, has her doubts. Her father became sick on June 14th.
And they told me he had a fever of almost 102, and that his heart rate and blood pressure were elevated.
David died the next day at the age of 71.
Never was there a mention of potential COVID, no testing, nothing at all, zero.
An email from the Veterans Home shows her dad was never tested for COVID-19. His death certificate lists coronary artery disease and diabetes as the cause of death. Call 6 Investigates did some checking and found the Indiana Veterans Home has an overall 2-star below average rating on Medicare's nursing home compare site. And when it comes to quality measures or how well the residents are cared for, the Indiana Veterans Home has only 1 star, the lowest ranking possible, something Danielle had no idea about.
I believe I had my dad put there, but yeah, I think they're hiding stuff or not doing stuff for their patients.
I was shocked and devastated.
A state lawmaker, Carly Macer, serves on the Veterans Commission and works in the healthcare industry.
It scared me because when I also heard that there were no COVID cases with quality measures of a 1 and an overall rating of a 2, I thought, how is this possible? Are we testing the residents? Are we testing the staff? Because that is a really big part of our business.
The Indiana Veterans Home is currently allowing visitors.
The urgency that we should have about this is at the top for me. We want to make sure everyone's safe, and it's just the right thing to do.
We reached out to the Indiana Veterans Home, who told us they've tested residents who've shown signs or symptoms of COVID-19. So far, they've tested 32 residents and all 185 staff members. 1 employee did test positive. Staff at the IVH took immediate and protective measures to ensure neither a resident nor staff member at the IVH came in contact with that person. Per guidelines from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, that person quarantined for 14 days. We also asked the Indiana Veterans Home about their below average ratings, including overall 2 stars. They told us this is not an acceptable rating. Along with COVID-19 prevention, the improvement of the overall and individual rating for the IVH is top priority. These scores are cumulative over a 3-year period, so it will take some time to impact and see change happen. Representative Macer says veterans and their families deserve better.
And I think that they would be shocked and really disappointed to know that the facility that their family is staying in, it has the lowest quality measures and overall rating just about that you can get.
Danielle is grieving the loss of her father, David.
He knows I have a voice and I'm going to use it. So I think he'd be proud of me for standing up for him.
She's urging the Indiana Veterans Home to expand its COVID-19 testing of residents and improve how it cares for those who served our country and their spouses.
And I will not be silent about this. I want to stand up for the veterans, for my dad, and for everybody else.
The Indiana Veterans Home is looking for a new superintendent, but they say the process is taking longer because of COVID-19 restrictions. Reporting at the State House, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
The latest state data shows an increasing number of COVID-19 cases, more hospitalizations, and fewer new deaths. The Indiana State Department of Health confirmed 763 new cases of the coronavirus today. That's 29 more new cases than yesterday. 58,673 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The state also reports 14 new coronavirus deaths, bringing the total to 2,666 people who have died. More than 654,000 Hoosiers have been tested for the virus. 9% of them tested positive for COVID-19.
There are downpours in central Indiana. Most of us are dry for now. We'll show you the thunderstorms that are moving into Hamilton County from Boone, really, south of Lebanon through Zionsville, Carmel, Fishers, Geist. Heads up. We'll talk about the changes that take us into the weekend coming up.
And I'm Dave First. There are plenty of great comeback stories in racing, none more so than Tipton's Robert Ballou, who hopes to see that car in victory lane when Indiana Sprint Week starts later this week. Coming up in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
Well, thought this was a great picture today. IMPD mounted patrol down on the canal for the community walk this evening. And you can lead a horse to water, and sometimes they'll drink. That's a friend of mine, Luke Schmidt. He's in the mounted patrol. That's Maddie, by the way. Well, we've had one round of downpours today. Maybe woke you up this morning, 4 o'clock or so, rolling through metro area. 2/3 of an inch in Terre Haute, about 9/10 in Bloomington, and just under ½ inch in Indy. We have other downpours on the radar now, but far fewer than 24 hours ago. Our rain chances in general will be decreasing the next several days, and most of us will go rain-free from say tomorrow on through Sunday, with rain chances remaining rather low. We'll get a break from the humidity. We're not today, that's for sure. It is humid. As you go through the next few days, our humidity drops before coming back in a big way on Sunday and into early next week. It's a broken line of showers and thunderstorms almost from Terre Haute to the north side of Indy to Muncie. That's the general line that we're going to focus on from Anderson over toward Muncie and Delaware County. There's an area of rain moving in. For those of you, Brownsburg to say northern portion of Eagle Creek, Carmel, Fishers, Geist, there's the area moving from west to east, and the line may continue to sag just a little bit to the south, but some lightning with that as it crosses over 31 near Carmel and Westfield and Noblesville. The stronger storm potential is in the southern portion of the state, and the marginal risk for severe storms down along the Ohio River and into Kentucky. Temperatures all in the mid-80s generally speaking, unless you have the downpour. It feels warmer though because of that humidity. 7 to 11, the showers, isolated thunderstorms that we have continue, but again won't be a solid area of rain for all of us during the day on tomorrow. Mid-80s Friday temperatures, as you look at those, in the 80s still with a little break from the humidity, which will be enjoyable. Temperatures, they'll start to bounce back. Second half of the weekend will feel a little more uncomfortable. 90 Sunday, humidity higher, so the heat index 95 degrees or higher. We're at 88 with thunderstorm chances coming back up on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Mark, Amanda?
All right, Kevin, thank you. Hey, it's a big weekend ahead for fans of short track racing. The annual Indiana Sprint Week begins Friday night.
7 races at 7 different towns in 9 nights. And a former champion has been waiting a while to return. Dave First on why the sport is worth the risk in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
Welcome to Tipton, where you'll find sweet corn, a town that honors its hometown heroes, and inside this building, champion sprint car racer Robert Ballou. He works on his own cars, one of the smaller teams routinely competing against the bigger ones.
So when you go out and you can beat a team that's fully funded, you know, it makes the gratification that much, greater.
And he's had plenty of that. The trophy shelf barely has any extra room. He's 13th on Sprint Car's all-time wins list. But it's one he had a year ago last June that he still thinks about.
I came off a 4 and I seen the guy hit the outside fence. Never would have dreamt that it would have caused any issues.
As Robert was set to take the checkered flag at Kokomo, he ran into the back of a spinning Kobe Barksdale, swerving just in time to miss the fuel tank on the backside of Kobe's car.
I was turning to miss him because there was no way. The worst fear for anyone that races is fire.
But the impact causing a compound fracture of his right arm. 4 surgeries and a skin graft later, he finally returned to the track this spring.
See how it's all caved in here?
He still has the seat that also took the brunt of the contact, a memento of an accident that could have been so much worse.
And this is made of what?
This is all aluminum.
Yeah.
But obviously, these are the toughest seats on the market.
This week, it'll be back to Kokomo for the first time since the accident, hoping to get back to the wins and celebrations. That 2015 Series Championship banner still hangs on his wall today. The focus is real. And at 31, his little team has only just begun to go after the big ones.
The grind sucks. When things aren't going your way, they really suck. But the reward is huge.
People that live in this area are familiar with this farmhouse, Blue Moon Farm. It's been here a long, long time, but Robert just moved into it in 2016. His race shop is inside. He'd love to fill it with even more trophies and even more rewards. Like he talked about, Indiana Sprint Week begins Friday in Gas City. Day first, RTV6 Sports.
And a few downpours may force you inside for a bit this evening. Carmel to Noblesville, and then from just north of Brownsburg, that'll go through Zionsville, Eagle Creek, and you can see the thin line from Terre Haute to the north side of Indy to Muncie. That's the next hour or so.
Thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news. We'll be back for the news at 7. We'll see you then.